So hello everyone, very good morning. So let's start. Let me share my screen. So in the last sessions, what we have discussed, just a minute. Okay. So we saw then, so how to work with, so this retention time, right? Retention time, and then how to use time travel option, right? So when we are using time travel option, so we saw that, so different options before timestamp by using a timestamp. Let me log in into our account, Snowflake account, by using the offset time, and then by using before query ID. Right? These are the different options what we have done. Log into account. Okay. So now, so when you observe this here, so we have used these options, right? So before the statement, when you run this here, so we have a different types, different tables we have created. And so before this employees new, so details, this is in a retention schema. Let's come to the retention schema. So we have some data, right? So how many records we have? Only 5 records here. But so if you want to understand before this query ID, how the table looks like, what we can do, we can run this and then you can able to see, so how the data looks like before this query ID, right? This query ID has implemented. So here the query ID implemented for update the records. If you observe carefully, see this, how the data looks like in your original table now. In your original table, you can able to see the salary, right? So nines, all nines here, right? But so when you observe this before this query ID, then observe the data, how it looks like. See this one, right? So what we have done previously for the manager ID, so 5, we have wherever the manager ID is 5, so we have updated, so with so on all the nines, right? So that we have done. So previous before this particular query ID, the data how it looks like. After this query ID, the data looks like this. Now we have only 5 records. Now if you observe, for example, so before this particular timestamp, so how the data looks like is, how many records we have? 8 records. Observe this. The initially when you created a table in the last session, and then so in this particular table we have total 8 records is available, right? And so when you observe the final data, here we have only 5 records. Now let's assume that we need to compare. So or we need to validate. So when we have created a table, so for example, so this is in the last session, this is yesterday details, right? You can able to see that by using before the timestamp option. So by using this statement, you can able to see the details. Now we need to compare with this particular thing. Then what you can do, you can create a table so with this particular record, and then you will have both the details. And what we discussed, when you create a new table with the same data, again, so both the table will occupy the same storage location, right? Instead of that, what is the best practice we discussed? We can use a clone option. We can use clone option. What will happen when we are using a clone option? It is not going to occupy the storage. So for the same, so details. That's why, so we will use a clone. Now let's observe this. Just a minute. So we are going to clone. So for example, so before this statement, if you want to, so create a table. Okay, let's observe this. Same thing, we will take it here and let's use this clone. So this particular table. So for example, this is a employee restore table. Employees new. Employees. Okay. Restore table. So I will create a restore table and clone from what is the table. This is the table, right? So this is our table. So from this particular table, we are cloning. So what we have to clone? So before timestamp, before this particular timestamp. Now observe this. So when you use this, then what will happen? So clone, we'll use this. Sorry, when you are using clone at timestamp we have to use. Before also it will work. Let me check. Otherwise, we can use the both the statement. So let's check this one. So what we are trying to do? So we are trying to recreate a table, another table. So with the data. So before this particular timestamp. So now let's observe this. What happened? The table has been created, right? So table has been created. So before this time, how the data looks like. So in this particular table, so we have kept into this particular employees restore table. Now when you reset it, see this one another table. We have 8 records here. This is your original table data before the changes. Now the current the table. So how the data looks like, it is available in this table. Here this table, so it is your original data. If you observe, first initially when you created a table and when you inserted the data, we have manager ID 1 and then manager ID 4, and then all these records is available. But so if you observe in this particular data, you will not see the manager ID 4 and then 1, right? And then these are the records has been updated, right? This is your original data. So now you can able to compare. But so here one thing, if you observe, we are using clone. We are using a clone keyword. So what is the main intention behind a clone keyword when we are using this, when you are recreating a table? You can use before timestamp or before the statement. So because before this so particular the query id or offset, anything you can use. So when you are cloning, so when you are doing this clone, what will happen is the main intention of the clone is, just remember, you have two tables. Generally if you observe, here it is occupied 1.5 kb. Here you can able to see here also 1.5 kb. Observe this, right? So here 1.5 kb, here also 1.5 kb. So here when we are using a clone option, what will happen is the storage, it will not occupy for cloned table. This is a cloned table. We will see that in the next sessions. So how the clone will work from the backend. So at this moment, just remember, when you use a clone keyword, you can use, so create table name as, you can use as select star from, so this particular, so table. So before the statement you can do that also. Then what will happen, both the table will occupy the storage. When you are using a clone keyword, it will not occupy the storage for this, the cloned table. This is a cloned table here. This clone table, it will not occupy storage. Okay, so just remember this. We will see that how we can able to so work with a clone, and then what is the so backend thing it is going to work. So why it is not going to so utilize the another storage, we will see that. So now, so we can able to what we have done. So if you want to compare, we can able to use the same timestamp before, or so you can use the so offset time, or you can use the timestamp. We can use the query id, anything we can use, and then you can able to clone the table. So that is the one option. And so what is the main intention behind retention time? One is time travel. One is you can able to, so here what we are doing, so we went yesterday, so and then we saw that how the data looks like in the so last so session. So before this particular, so the data updated in the table, or before the delete statement and all those things, we saw that how the data looks like in so yesterday this particular time. So in this particular table, right, we can able to see that, right? This is exactly at this before this time how the data looks like in this table. This is nothing but we can say that as a snapshot of the table, how it looks like. Or, and one more thing, so this is for one option of the time travel when you are using a retention. If you observe, what is the retention time for this table, employees new table? If you want to see that, so where you will see show tables, you can able to see that data retention time. So what is the table, employees new, employees new, this is the table, right? And then it is in a retention schema. And then so here if you observe retention time, see this one, 30 days. Retention time is 30 days. It means so next 30 days anytime you can come back to So study and then you can able to check the data. So that is retention time. At the same time, one more option is, for example, suppose let's assume that you have dropped the table by mistake. You have dropped a table, or you have dropped a schema, or you have dropped any database. So in this particular window, in this particular session, anything, then immediately if you observed, so we have dropped, if you noticed, so this particular table is dropped, or this particular schema is dropped, or this particular database is dropped, anything, you can get back immediately. You can able to undrop it immediately. And so that's why always the retention time, the default for database, for schema, for tables, for transient tables, for temporary tables also, if you observe, the retention time is 1. Retention time is 1, right? 1 day. So if you observe some other tables here, so we have other tables also, right? See this one, these are the other tables. If you observe for other tables, the data retention time, see this one, by default it is 1 day. By default it is 1 day. If you don't create any retention time, by default it will be 1 day, it will be available. It means, so 1 day within one, for example, if I drop today, in the next 24 hours, if I observe, so this has been dropped, I can able to undrop it. I can able to undrop it. It can be for the database, it can be for a schema, or it can be for a table also. Now, so let's observe this. So how we can able to do that? So let's drop something here. So for example, drop schema. Let's take the retention schema. Spelling is wrong here. I've taken it as a wrong. Retention. Okay. Now, if you observe this, see this one, it's dropped, right? And then, so let's drop of database db underscore transient. This is a database which we are having, right? This is the database. Now let's drop this database. Database is dropped. Now let's come to this public and then schema, and then let's drop emp table. Now we are in a public schema. Now drop table emp. No, it's dropped, right? But still you can able to see that here, right? Retention schema and then table and then this database. This is because of we didn't refresh it here. If you refresh it, then now observe this. Can you able to see that database db underscore transient? No. Can you able to see the table in the public schema? See this one, the table is not available. And then at the same time, so you can you able to see this particular retention schema in this particular class database? No, right? Everything has been dropped, right? So now, so if you want to undrop this, so generally in when we are working in organization, so no one will, so most of the persons, every developer will not get a so option to so drop. So but here, so we are working with a trial account, and then we logged in with a so administrator. See this one, account admin, right? So now we have all the permissions, so we are doing it here. But so for the organization, any organization, when we are working in any project, everyone will not have a permission to drop the table or drop database or drop schema. Okay. So now if you want to undrop it, if you want to get it back, so then what you have to do is just you can use undrop table. So what is the table name? EMP, right? This is the table. So which we have undropped. Now observe this. Sorry. Let me execute it. If you want to execute, so what we are doing, if you want to execute it, we are selecting and then we are running the run, click on the run, right? Then it will run. So without that selecting, if you want to run anything, then what you can do is, so click our mouse and then you can use control enter. So this one is because of this particular thing it is giving. Just let me so give the semicolon here. Now observe this one. So it is telling that already exist. Now let's check the data. If you want to see that, so start from we are in class and then public schema. Now observe this. I am using control enter. Now the query is running. You can able to see the data. It means the table is available. Table came back. Now let's refresh it here and then check that the table is available. So this one, the table is available. And one more thing. So the schema also we have undropped, right? So again, so undrop. If you want to get it back, undrop schema, and then schema name. So what is the schema name? This is the schema name. Now so this. So we have undrop, right? Again, same way. So the database also, let's undrop the database. Drop database transient. Now, so we have undropped the table, we have undropped the database, and then we have undropped the schema. Let's refresh it here. Now observe this. We have the schema. So everything what is available in the schema, the table names, it is available. At the same time, database came back. At the same time, table also came back. So, but this is so because of retention period. Retention period is 1 day. That's why within 1 day, if you observed, you can able to get it back, right? You can immediately adapt. This is the one of the other feature in the Snowflake. So one is retention time period. So to time travel. Another one is so you can able to undrop the things within the retention period. So these are the things. Okay. So now, so let's come to so another topic. So that is tasks. Task means if any execution, when you are implementing something, so we used to call it as a task. For example, when you are inserting some data, that is a task. When you are creating a table, that is a task, right? So when you are updating something, that is a task, right? Everything, whatever we are implementing. So when you are executing something, so when you are creating or deleting any operations, whatever we are performing, so we'll call it as a so task here. Now, so especially when it is coming to the tasks, so we will have, so this particular thing we will use for two things. One is to handle, just a minute, tasks we are going to use to handle dependencies, to handle dependencies. Another thing is scheduling. The thing is scheduling. So by using the tasks, we can able to schedule up to 8 days, up to 8 days, not more than that, not more than that. So that is a one of the limitation in a task. So when you are scheduling, so within the Snowflake, so within the Snowflake, they have given a feature called scheduling. So you can able to schedule the task. So or any particular time. For example, let's assume that maybe tomorrow, so at this exact time, I want to insert some data into the table, that you can able to do it by using scheduling, by using scheduling. And when it is coming to dependency here, so let's say, so let's assume that we have a emp table. Once the emp table loaded the data, then only we need to load the data into department table. So department table is dependent on emp table. Let's assume that. Okay. Or so for example, so you have any like sales details is available. So once the sales so details is updated in the table, then only you can able to calculate the commission, right? That is a dependency on the sales data. Commission is dependent on sales data, right? That is nothing but these kind of dependencies also we can able to create by using a task. When you are working with a task, so we have two things. One is so root task, and parent and child. These are the terminologies. parent and child task. Root task means, so the main task, we can call it as a main task. Root task also can be called as a, so parent task also called as a parent task. And when it is coming to the child task, so if the task is dependent on any other task, any other parent task, then we will call it as a child task. Then we are going to call it as a child task. Let's observe this. And so before going to that, you can create in a Snowflake, you can create total including parent child tasks. You can create total 1,000 tasks, 1,000 tasks, total 1,000 tasks you can create for one account. For one account. Account means, if you observe here, this is our account, right? So when we are logging, so with this particular, so this one, right? This ID. So this ID I have created for our, so practice purpose, right? This is a trial account. This is account. So if you create your account, in your account, you can able to create 1,000 tasks, right? If other person created, so their account, there in their one account, you can create 1,000 tasks, totally 1,000 tasks you can able to create. That is the, so one of the thing. And another thing is, each and every task, each and every parent task can have maximum 100 child tasks. Remember these two things. These are the certification questions. So parent, each and every parent task can have 100 child tasks, not more than that. And all complete account, the total tasks can be 1,000. Total tasks can be 1,000. This is including parent and child. This 1,000 is including parent and child. Now, so let's observe the diagram for the better understanding. If you observe, say this one here, this is a root task. This is root task. When you have a root task here, so this task is having, so two childs. Task B, task C are the childs for task A. Okay. For the task B and task C are childs for task A. And again, task B is having other child tasks. D, E, F. These are the child tasks for, these are the child tasks for task B. For this child task, task B is the parent. Task B is the parent, right? So this is, we can call it as a root task, or we can call it as a parent task also for these two things, right? And the same way, if you observe the task C here, this is a parent for G and H. G and H are the childs for task C. Task C is the child for task A, right? Okay. If you observe one thing here, each and every child can have only one parent task. Remember this. You cannot assign one child task to two parent tasks. Okay. So this is, so another certification question. So one child task cannot be assigned to two parent tasks. That is not possible. So it means, so task F is assigned to task B, right? If you have a link from task C to task F, that is a invalid one. It will not be allowed. It will not be allowed. So now one, this is a task, this is a task C is a parent task. Here in the task C, you can have 100 child tasks. 100 child tasks. Again, task B can have 100 child tasks. Task A also can have 100 child tasks. But the limitation is, totally you can able to create 1,000 tasks. Total altogether you can create 1,000 tasks. Okay. But when we are creating a task, you can able to create a task by using account admin. See this one, account admin or security admin only. Others cannot able to create a task. See this one, others cannot able to work with the task. We have a account admin. This is the super user. So all the permissions will be available here for the account admin, like in other database administrators. Remember one more thing, in our Snowflake, you don't have a role called administrator. To confuse us, in certification question they will give, so choose the below roles, so which is available in Snowflake. So they will give administrator also instead of account admin. Don't get confused there. We don't have a role, default role call. So administrator, these roles we didn't create it automatically. Your Snowflake, when you have created account, it has been configured. So like other databases, you need to install and then you need to configure everything. You need to do that things manually. You need to create the roles also. The one person has to go and then create it. But here, so all these things by default, it has been created for us, right? Our super user is account admin here. There is no role called administrator. Remember this, okay? So you should not select the administrator. So if you have account admin, you can select. Now, when we are working with the tasks, account admin or security admin, only these two persons only can, these two roles only can able to create a task. Others cannot able to create a task. Remember this. So one thing. Now we are in account admin, right? Now we are in account admin role. Now let's see. So how to create a task, what we can able to do. What we discussed, by using a task, we can do two things. One is so scheduling. Another one is we can do a dependency. We can create a dependency, right? So now let's see that. And one more thing, when you created a task, we can create a task by using other roles also. You can create, but you cannot able to work with the task. You cannot able to resume the task. It means, so once it is created, it will be there, but you cannot able to resume. It's a waste, right? That's why it is not useful. So if it is created also, that's why always account admin or security admin, you can use that. Now let's come to the scenario. So how we can able to work with the task. And when you created a task, when you don't have any dependency, then we will call it as a standalone task. We will call it as a standalone task. Now let's come here. And so here, when we are creating a table, observe this, we are creating a table here, employee, under this class database, under this public schema. When we are creating this, so we have these columns, employee ID, employee name, and then load time. And when you have a employee ID, so this is integer, right? And so when you have a data type, when you are inserting data into this table, we are telling that auto increment. Auto increment, it will start with 1 and then increment by 1. It means whenever you are trying to load any data into this table, automatically employee ID will increment, start with 1, and then every record it will increment by 1. It means nothing but it will generate a sequence numbers, right? So that is the thing what we are assigning here. And for employee name, for this practice purpose, what we are doing is just we are giving the default name. So let's give Snowflake. Okay, so we are giving employee name as a Snowflake. Every time when you are loading the data into this table, just we are giving a Snowflake here. And load time, so this one, so we will load it. So by using the insert command, now we are creating a table structure with these details. Now the table is available. Now let's come to this. So you can able to see employee table, right? This table, if you see the structure also, ID, name, and then load time we have. Okay, fine. So now what we are mentioning here, when you created a table, employee ID automatically it will increment, it will give the sequence number. Every time the employee name will be Snowflake only. Every time it will be a Snowflake, or you can give, consider organization name. So Snowflake, anything is fine. Okay. Now once we have these details, now our intention is we need to load the data into this particular table by using load time. When you are using load time, so automatically employee ID will be incremented. Automatically every time the employee data default value we have given every time, it will go to the Snowflake. So now, so what we'll do is, now observe this, the actual thing what we are doing. we are creating a task here. We are creating a task. Create or replace task. Observe this. We are creating a task. This is when we are creating a task, we are assigning this task to warehouse. When you are running any query, where it is running? This running in a compute warehouse, right? Compute warehouse. Again, we will see that. So what is this compute warehouse? How to create it? So at this moment, just remember compute warehouse is like a VDI or remote desktop for processing anything, whatever we are processing here, it will be charged for every query, whatever we are going to run here. How much time it is going to execute, that much particular time it will calculate in the compute warehouse, and then it will so be charged from the Snowflake. The user, whatever the user we are using, right? So every queries, this is we can call it as a processing. So for the processing, it will calculate. So this one, it will give you the charge. So for the Snowflake, that is the charge the Snowflake is taking. So from us, right? It is not a traditional licensing. So if you remember in the previous classes we discussed, for the storage, it will be charged. For the processing, so it will be charged. Processing means nothing but whatever the queries we are executing here. When you are utilizing the warehouse. Now, when you are running this task, you are telling to this utilize this compute warehouse. Without the warehouse, we cannot able to execute. We cannot able to execute. And we are telling schedule time, observe this 1 minute. This schedule time limitation is up to, you have to give in the minutes only here. Up to 8 days you can give. Up to 8 days. 8 days means 8 into 24 hours into, so you can calculate the minutes. So up to 8 days you can able to give. So that is the limitation for the schedule time here. Okay, in a Snowflake. Now, once it is done, so we are assigning this schedule time for 1 minute. It means every 1 minute it has to run. Where this query has to run, it has to run this in a compute warehouse that we are assigning. But when you are manually running, we are so having this compute warehouse by default, it is selected, it will run. But here when you are scheduling, so for example, let's say if you have like 2 to 3 so virtual warehouses for the computation layer, so generally what will happen is in organization, for the development team, they will create a one virtual warehouse. For the data loading, it will be a one virtual warehouse. For the testing, it will be a one virtual warehouse. It will be like that. So you are going to choose. So when you are creating a task, which virtual warehouse it has to run. So we are assigning that. And then we are assigning the schedule time. Okay, these two things we are assigning to the task. What exactly we need to perform in the task, what we need to do in this particular task. When the task is executing, we are telling that, see this one, as insert into this particular table, insert into this particular, so employee table, load time we are inserting, the value is current timestamp. It means whatever the current timestamp it is there, that particular timestamp we are assigning to the load time for the into this particular table. When you are giving this data into this table, automatically you will have a ID and then employee name will be there, right? Now let's create a task. Now observe this. We created a task. Within the task, you have assigned a schedule time and then you assign a warehouse, right? Okay, and then we assigned this, the what exactly it has to do in the task. This we will call it as a body. If you want to see that show tasks, it will give you the details. See this one. So you can able to use this show tasks, show tables, show schemas, show pipes, everything. If you want to see the details, you can use a keyword called show here. Okay. Now, if you observe, see this, it is telling that what is the task name and then task ID, and then so who is the owner, account admin, and then which warehouse it has assigned. This task is assigned to this virtual warehouse, and then this task schedule time is every 1 minute. And so more importantly, observe the state. What is the state of the task? State of the task is suspended. State of the task is suspended here. and definition, content of the task, what we are doing inside the task. This is the definition of the task. It is nothing but what exactly we are implementing in the task. We are inserting into the table. So load time we are inserting, and then observe the state of the task, suspend. By default, every task status will be in suspended mode. Remember this. By default, every task status will be in suspended mode. So if you want to trigger this task, you have to be in account admin role or security admin role only. Then only you can able to do that. Otherwise, it is not possible. So with the other roles also you can create, but you cannot able to. So you cannot able to resume it. It means you cannot able to start the task. That's why. So always, so when you are creating a task, you have to go to account admin or security admin, the same information. So you have given here, use account admin or security admin role. Okay, so now, so let's see so how we can able to run the task. Now, if you observe this task, so what is the status here? It is in suspended. Now, what you are telling in the task, insert into this particular table. This particular table, if you observe, so zero records. We don't have anything, right? So if you want to resume the task, if you want to start the task, what you need to do is you need to resume task. You need to give the keyword alter task, task name. This is the task name. What is the task name? This is the task name, employee task. And then you need to resume. When you click on this resume, and so the task execution successfully, statement executed. Now, if you observe the show tasks again, observe the status of the task here. Observe the status, what it is telling. It started. Now it started, so utilizing this particular warehouse, and then it started. Every 1 minute this task will run. What it will do every 1 minute? Every 1 minute once, it will try to insert the data into this particular table. It will try to insert the data into this particular table. Okay. Now, so one more thing. So now this is in a resume state. Nothing but the task is started. Let's refresh it and then let's check the data here every 1 minute. So select start from, let me type, what is the table name? Employee, right? This is the table name. So this is the table name. Now let's execute it. Do you have anything here? No, right? So let it be. So for 1 minute, after that, so you can able to see the records into this table. Every 1 minute it will try to insert new records into this particular table by employee ID, sequence number, employee name will be the Snowflake, and then load time will be the current timestamp. And one more thing, so now observe this. What you observe now? So it turned into green. It means the task has been started. So it is utilizing, say this one, warehouse, compute warehouse. When it is idle, the compute warehouse, when it is idle, it means if it is not in green color, then Snowflake will not charge anything from us. Snowflake will not charge anything from us. When you are utilizing this warehouse, then only, so how much time we are executing the uh, statements, how much time we are executing the queries, so how much time we are implementing the processing time, based on that it will calculate. So the time you can able to see that when you are running something, you can able to see the time, how much time it has executed. See this one, 36 milliseconds, right? How much time here? 36 milliseconds. Based on that it will calculate. Okay, we will see that again, so how the calculation will happen in the backend. Now let's observe this, whether the data is available or not. See this one. So 1, 2. So every 1 minute is running, and then it will continuously until you stop the task. Until you stop the task. Resume means nothing but start. Suspend means nothing but stop here. Suspend is nothing but a stop. Resume is nothing but a start. Now it is started. Now the task is started. If you want to stop it, if you don't stop, what will happen? It will keep on running, and every 1 minute automatically we are not triggering anything. We are not inserting anything here, right? Automatically by using a task, we have scheduled it and then we have assigned to the warehouse and then automatically it is implementing, right? Now, if you observe, so again, so you can able to see the data here. See this one, you can able to see another record, right? Every 1 minute it will start. If you want to stop it, what you have to do, you need to alter task, employee task, and then suspend. Observe this, alter task, employee task, and then you need to give the suspend option, right? When you suspend, then only it is going to suspend. Now we are executing the suspend, nothing but is stopping. It's executed successfully. Now again, if you check the status of the task, so now it will be stopped or suspended. See this one, status is suspended now. It means it stopped running the task, right? Again, if you want to trigger, so you can trigger it. You can trigger it. You can resume it. So you can, what you have to do is you have to resume it. Here, one thing, if you observe, we didn't created any dependency here, right? We didn't have any dependency for this particular task. This task is a individual one. We will call this as a standalone task. Standalone task. Suppose if you have a dependency, let's see how to create a dependency. So when you are creating dependency, so two things we need to remember. So especially when you are resuming and when you are suspending. So that is very important. When you are resuming and when you are suspending. So let me first let's create the tasks. After that we will see that so what exactly we need to so do that when you are so creating a so tasks. For example, so let's come to this. Let me take first, let's create a parent task. Now observe what we are doing. Here we are creating table employee parent. The same thing we are doing, increment by one, and then we will use on the name as Snowflake. And observe this, so employee ID, and then so name, you can give any name here, or organization, anything is fine. Now we are creating a table. Now once we created a table, now observe, so instead of the just a name, I have given this is the name. You can give anything, just for identification we are giving this is a parent task, and we are scheduling every 1 minute. Now observe this, the same thing. So but just so we have changed the name to the parent task. Now by default, this task is in suspended mode, right? Now it is not started. It is still in a suspended mode. Now this parent task, we will assign one child task. Child task is dependent on this particular task. It means now once this task is completed, what it will do? It will load the data into this particular table, right? Once the data loaded into this table, from this table, again we will insert into the another table. So that particular thing we will implement it in a child task. For that, let's create a child task here. Sorry. If you want, you can create a number of child tasks. Just observe this, what we are doing. We are creating, this is our one is for the parent. Now here we are creating it for a child. Now observe this, you can create child 1 and child 2. It's up to us. So now we are creating just employee ID and then name and then load time, the same columns. But we are not giving any default values here. Just create it. Now the table is created, right? Now observe this, in a child task, what we are doing exactly. See this one. This is the name of the task. We are assigning to the warehouse. That is fine. Now observe, instead of schedule time here, what we have given. See this one. Instead of schedule time, we are giving after employee parent task. Where is this task? We have this task is available here. Employee parent task. It means after completion of the parent task, then automatically the child task has to start. That is the meaning of this. Every 1 minute, this parent task will execute. After the completion of this execution, one execution, immediately it will start the child task, right? That is the meaning of this. Now, when you are starting this particular task, after this particular task, when the child task is executing, what this child task has to do is it has to pick the data from the main parent table. See this one? Insert into this particular table, child table from the parent table, right? It will pick all the records from here. So now, so let's create this. So child, so task. Now we have a dependency, right? Now, if you observe show tasks, show tasks, both the tasks should be in a suspended mode. One is parent task and another one is a child task. Now observe this. This is a parent task. This is a child task. And one more thing, when you observe here, see this one. So predecessors. This one, see this. This is for the child task. It is telling that. So this is dependency. And at the same time, you can able to see for the child task, we don't have any schedule time because that child task is dependent on parent task. You can see the dependency here on this particular which parent task it has been dependent, right? It is telling that clearly here. This is so parent task, and so these two are suspended, and you can see the definition here. Definition means nothing but so what exactly we are implementing in the task. And so here if you observe, this is both the things in suspended mode only, right? Now if you want to start the task, what we need to do, we need to resume the tasks, right? We need to resume the task. So before resuming, so just we need to remember one thing. Let me show you here. Remember this, when you are having this is related to the parent, the same thing. So you need to, one is for the resume, another one is for suspend, right? So once it is resumed, we need to do suspend also, right? After that, now, so remember one thing, when you are resuming your, when you have a dependency, when we are resuming, always remember, first we need to resume child task. First you need to resume child task. Next you need to resume parent task. This is the condition when you are having dependency. And when you are suspending, first you need to suspend parent task. Second, you need to suspend child task. This is the order. Always remember this. Don't get confused here. So this is most important thing. When you have a dependency, always, so you have to start your child task first, then you have to start your parent task because there is a dependency. But when you are stopping, the reverse. So first you need to suspend the parent task and then you need to suspend the child task. To easily remember, so let's consider this. Let's relate it with this. For example, so if you, for example, let's say if you went for any uh, uh, for example, just a second, 1 second. ఏమైందన్నా? I'm sorry. Okay, so let's come back to this. Where is it? Okay, so when you are suspending and then when you are resuming, just relate it to with this. So when, for example, so in a home, so when you are giving so food to our so childs and parents, let's assume that first we need to give food to the childs first. So once the children's completed, then only we have to so give it to the parents. When you are stopping, first we need to stop it for the parents, then we have to stop it for the childs. This is the order. So you can relate it very easily. So to remember this, first we need to start the child task first. Then we have to start the parent task. You can start parent task also, but once the parent task is started, so you cannot able to start the child task. We will see that. So before stopping the parent task, if you try to stop the child task, it will not allow. So just observe this. So this is the order, right? This is the order. So now, so when you start, so this particular thing, the parent one. So now observe this. When you are trying to start, it started, right? It started, successfully executed. Now you can see that show tasks. See this one, show tasks. It started. It will be in a started mode. See this one, parent task is started. Now if you try to start this child one, now observe what is happening. See this one, what it is telling, the parent task. So this one, so see this one, so it's unable to update the graph. It means the root task is started, so root task is not suspended since the parent task is not suspended. This one, so parent task already started, so because there is a dependency for the child task, so then so it is started already, so you cannot able to start it now. So what you have to do, let's suspend it and then let's try one more time. Now it's suspended. Now nothing is running here, right? Now let's try to resume your child task first. Now it's resumed, child task is resumed. Now try to execute the parent task because there is a dependency here, right? We assign the dependency here. After completion of this, right? After execution of this parent task only, the child task has to be executed. Now what we will do, if you observe, both the tasks will be in a running state. It will be in a started state. So observe this, started. This one, this parent task will start every 1 minute. But so when this particular child task will start after completion of this particular parent task. After completion of this particular parent task, this particular child task will start. Now let's check the data here. Now in the parent task and then child task. Now let's check the data here in the parent task. Now still it's not executed. Now observe the status. So now it's turned into the green just now, right? Now again, let's check the data here, refresh it, and then check the data. It's not started. Now it's loaded. See this one. Now the data loaded into this particular table, right? Now once this completed, immediately child will run. Now again, let's refresh it, and then so let's run this. See this one, the data is available in the child also, right? So whenever it's completed the parent task, immediately, so after the completion of the parent task, the child task will run immediately. Now, so every time what we are doing in the child task, we are inserting all the data from the parent table. It means second time, if it is having two records, all the two records it will be dumped to the your child table. So that is the statement what we have given. So next time when it is again it is executing, if you have 5 records here, again it will load all the 5 records to this particular table, right? So now if you observe, let's refresh it here. In the parent task you can able to see only 2 records, and then child task you can able to see. So let's refresh it. You may see 3 more records here. So now, so this is the child task. Now observe this 3 records, right? Again, it has loaded. Now, so what is the thing here? If you are stopping, when you are suspending, okay, when you are running, so first we need to run this child task. Then we have to so run the parent task. This is the order. But when you are stopping, what is the order? When you are stopping, order is first you need to suspend the parent task. Then you need to suspend the child task, right? For example, if you do it reverse, so now let's observe this. First, you are trying to suspend your child task. When you are trying to suspend your child task, just observe this. See this one, what is the error we are getting? See this? The root task is not suspended. It is clearly telling that root task is not suspended, right? So it is first what you need to do. root task is nothing but so the parent task. First you need to suspend because this is dependent on this one. So if this task is stopped, then only this child task will be stopped. Now observe this. Now we have stopped this one. Now you can able to stop this child also. See this? Now all that stopped, right? So when you are suspending, when you are resuming, you have to remember the order. So now everything has been suspended mode, right? So now, so always remember, so when you are resuming, you need to resume the child first, then you need to resume the parent next. When you are suspending, first you need to suspend the parent first, then you need to suspend the child first. So this is the order. And then schedule time, one more thing here, the schedule time always you have to give it in minutes. It should be, so maximum will be up to 8 days. 8 days you can give, so not more than that. Okay, so this is about the tasks. So any questions here? So from in
In
Dinesh, can
I,
you please
I I have one question. Hello,
yes, yes,
hello.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
real
go
time
ahead.
project,
Mm,
in which scenario
mm,
we need to go for creating a task?
mm, mm.
Any example?
So anything we can take it. For example, any scheduling, or if you want to schedule for any specific time, or if any thing. So let's say, so if you can create a dependencies, right? When you have a dependency, so once the data loaded into this particular thing, so then only we have to load it into that particular table. Like for example, let's say fact and dimensions, or sometimes reporting, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you are refreshing the data. So these
Mm-hmm.
things we will implement it here.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And uh,
And then,
uh, and
yeah.
and also, can you tell me that I mean, till now the classes are happened, right? So any progress?
Mhm.
Can you show that
Yes,
tracking
sir.
so that where we are and how many are left and which topics are left, something like that.
Oh, okay, fine, fine. Maybe those things you will get it from uh, maybe in another 1 hour. I will inform to the Ravi. Okay,
And
so he will give
the
you
third,
details.
yeah, and third one is like I already talked to admin guy.
Mm-hmm.
He told that he will provide that projects in the we need to keep in the resume, right? At least three
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
projects you are planning to give in a
that will,
document, Word document.
Ravi, those things we will discuss offline, Ravi. Okay.
Okay, okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Dinesh,
Dinesh, I
can
have
you
one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we create the schedule task by using GUI process?
By using
GUI, graphical user interface.
GUI. Oh, okay. Okay. So if you observe, so we don't have that option. So for the so anywhere task, but what we can do is we can create a resource monitor and all those things, but not exactly the tasks. So that option so still not enabled. So in GUI.
Okay. Dinesh.
Dinesh, suppose like one table having retention period 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
within the 30 days, we can undrop that table, right? Am I correct? Suppose like
Correct. Exactly. That is true.
if it is one day, only within that one day we can
In
undrop.
that one day. Yes.
So the next day
Yes.
itself we cannot. But the
That is
retention period 30 days, up to 30 days we can undrop the table.
yes.
I mean, it will be like a
That is true. Yeah. The understanding is correct.
okay.
Sure.
This one like a task. The timing part we
Mm-hmm.
can give 1 hour and one day like that, or only
Mm-hmm.
1 minute only. It's
No, no, it's not like every time it will be 1 minute only. You can give any number of hours, but it should be in the form of minutes. Maximum up to eight
one
days
hour,
you can give.
so 60 into one like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, so
For
I mean,
example, if you want
yeah,
to go
child tasks we can create like a same way we are
hmm,
creating like that, or in one command itself we can give that multiple tasks. For
sorry, come again.
suppose like a one parent task is there, I want to create
Okay.
3 child tasks.
Hmm.
See, in one
Okay,
command
fine.
itself, can we create, or we need to create multiple commands, create task, and parent task like that?
Oh, okay, okay, got you. So you can create in one command itself, you can create.
Oh, okay.
Just one.
Dinesh?
Sorry for the background noise. Yeah. Yes, Risha, tell me.
Yeah. The scheduler runs as long as the account is online, right? Once we log off, since the warehouse goes offline, the scheduler doesn't run, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay.
Dinesh, can you please go to your worksheet
Yes.
one?
Yes.
So you create the table, right? So go to the top of your worksheet. So
Mm,
here I
mm,
didn't understand this. Why did you give this a start and increment and default Snowflake?
mm. So just to load the data, for example, so if I want to like insert, just I wanted to increment by one. That's it. So that's the main intention. Just I wanted to give the default. Otherwise, what I have to do here? So for every time when I am inserting the data, I can insert some values, right? Instead of that, just I have given the incremented values. That's it.
Okay,
Otherwise,
what
what
if
will happen every time when this particular thing is running? So if I give the hard coded values here, the what will happen? So every time, for example, employee ID, if I given something here, every time the same employee will be ID will be loaded to the table. But I
okay,
don't want that. I just wanted to increment. So that's why. And then here instead of employee name, you can consider this as a organization. You can give any organization name. Every time the employee ID will be incremented, organization name will be the same. Okay, just to
okay,
show the example, just I have given this. That's it.
okay. And coming to the retention period, so you
Hmm.
dropped the table in 30 days, right? So after I
Hmm.
creation of a table, so I have the time
Okay.
of dropping the table for 30 days only. So I cannot go
Hmm.
beyond the 30 days. If I try to drop the table on 31st day, it won't be deleted, dropped, right?
No, no, no. So every time, so what will happen? Retention time always it will be the 30 days. For example, if it is one, what will happen? Maybe if you go to so maybe 23rd, so your retention time is 1 day, right? Always it will be one. So it will be incremented, right? It will travel with you. So that is the
Okay.
main intention of time travel.
No, no, no. My question is on December 1st,
Hmm.
I have created a table
Hmm.
with the
Okay.
retention time period is 30 days. So on
Hmm. Hmm.
30th, I
Hmm.
try to drop the table, it will
On
drop.
30th.
But on 31st, if I try to
Hmm.
drop the table, will I get an option?
Yes, you will get the option because so retention time will be again. So previous 30 days will be there. So up to from
Okay,
here
previous
to
30 days. Okay, it will count
exactly,
from the last 30 days.
exactly. Yeah, that is for the time travel option.
Okay.
Mm. And retention. Okay.
Yeah, it means if you created a table on, if you dropped
Mm.
a table on first, you can undrop it till 30th. On 31st, you can't able to undrop it, right?
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And
Correct.
one more doubt is, I have one doubt.
Mm.
What's the thing is, we can,
Mm.
you said that we can do time travel, right? That's purely depend
Yes,
on that retention time only, right?
yes, exactly. It will completely depend on retention time.
Yeah.
So how many days retention time we are giving for the table or schema database. So they based on that only we can able to go to the time travel.
Mm. Retention time is nothing but a restore period. So how many days we can restore it, the performed action. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Dinesh, you are sending the videos in it to the so this admin to the by the afternoon or evening. So because of last night video, so last class video I didn't get it. So this is continuously going on to regularly. I am calling to the organizer, and he is
Mm.
sending in the late in the evening or in the next day morning.
I am doing immediately after within half an hour, Arvind. So this is the directly the organizer have the control. I will so check with him one more time.
can you check with Ravi on this one? So regularly I'm
Sure, sure.
testing my practice, and next day
Definitely.
I'm going to.
Otherwise, I will definitely. Otherwise, I will do one thing. I will take the control from Ravi, and then I will do that. Okay, I will send it to all the
Absolutely.
email IDs. Okay,
Sure.
I will do that immediately within so half an hour to 1 hour. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Arun.
Yeah, Dinesh, yesterday only I joined this class. So whenever you are giving overview to someone else, what's that status and what topics are covered, please add me also. So I'll also get to
Sure,
know.
sure, definitely.
Yeah, same thing here with me also. I just joined the class 2 days back, so I don't know if you've included me, Priya, in the distribution list.
Okay, I will check with Ravi once, Priya. Okay,
Okay,
I will do.
thank you. By the way, do you
Thank
teach
you.
other classes?
Sorry,
So do you teach only Snowflake or do you teach other classes?
only Snowflake now.
Okay, okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Hi,
See you.
1 minute. Dinesh, one question.
Yeah, Satya, go ahead.
Whenever we created a task, it will not work on 24/7, right? I mean, whenever we log out or shut down, I mean, 24/7 projects, it will not work.
Generally, what will happen is in our trial account, we are creating the accounts, right? So
Yeah.
it's a right. So here, so we are going to log out and then log in. Generally, what will happen in the servers? So once they so started, so they will never stop the account, right?
Okay.
It will be renewable. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So please practice. If you have any questions, please note down. So we'll discuss again in the next classes. Thank you.